I'm Steph.
And I'm Richard. Today's question comes from Super Who. What are the pros and cons living in Korea? Do you want to go first?
You go first.
One of the biggest pros that I see about living in Korea is that when you come here to live as a foreigner, you can become whoever you want to be. You are stepping into a brand new society. No one knows who you are. And so you can decide, all right, you know what? I'm going to quit drinking, or I'm going to start athletics, or I'm going to do what I want to do.
I actually had something very similar to that on my list. And that is, you can be who you want to be in Korea. It's like college, only better because you're farther away and you're not surrounded by as many people that are from the same type of upbringing that you had. So coming to Korea, you can be and do whatever you want. You can change your character, but you can also pursue all those passions that maybe something you had a little bit of an interest in, but you never really did it because you didn't think that you could do it.
That's right.
Now you have the time, you can actually pursue that and nobody's gonna be like, that's stupid.
Or that's not who you are, because nobody has any idea what you're good at or what you like to do. People become singers, people become bloggers, people become
models,
people become radio DJ hosts, people become dancers. I've seen people go into comedy that never thought they were comedians and do really well at it.
Another thing I really like about Korea is that it's a small country with a very diverse landscape. And not only does it have a diverse landscape, but it has relatively great public transportation so that you can go across the country and see what the country has to offer.
And you don't have to do that much traveling to get there because of the size. I actually love traveling in this country a lot. On our honeymoon, we went down to Busan and then we went up to Soraksan, which is in the northeast. And then on the way back to Suwon, we traveled through the mountains in an area that we had never been to, and it was gorgeous up there.
It was so pretty! And we saw a lot of beautiful beaches actually, which I never really experienced as many beautiful beaches, but the East Coast does have some pretty beautiful beaches.
But there are in the northeast, Gangneung, in that area, Seokjo, Yangyang, there are beaches that are really pretty. They just aren't beaches that everyone's going and putting a towel out and getting a suntan at.
Well, what Korean do you know that's actually putting a towel out and getting a suntan?
They use the umbrellas to cover from the sun, which is a smart idea, by the way. Another thing people do here is they travel the rest of Asia because this place is a springboard for going to all those other places because you're so much closer than you would have been. Once you're in Korea, it's a lot cheaper to go to Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, these other places, Philippines, and go and explore places you might not have ever seen before because it was just too expensive or it was just too far away. What's one of your pros?
The amazing inexpensive food. I love this about Korea because, I mean, in the USA, I go out to eat and it's so expensive. Here in Korea, not only is the food extremely tasty and I love Korean food, but you can go out and eat on a regular basis and it's fairly inexpensive.
I sort of disagree with this, partly because the out to eat at a restaurant is inexpensive and delicious. Yes, indeed, you are correct. But going to the grocery store here is a con because this place overcharges for certain items, like for example, for a little tiny quart of milk, it's $2.50. Back home, you can get a gallon of milk for $2.50. There are certain sort of things like that that are way more expensive than I'm used to at home. Meat and chicken and that sort of thing are also really expensive here.
And don't even get me started on fruit at Chuseok. That's ridiculous.
Right, and not to sound negative, but it's a pros and cons video. That's a con. Good, inexpensive, and very delicious food out at the restaurant, yes. At the grocery store, not so much. Another huge pro, in my opinion, is that Asia in general is a special place, especially for Westerners who've never been here before, and you don't really get to experience it if you only come to visit for a week or two. Now, I'm talking about Korea, but Asia in general specifically. We had a friend over a couple of days ago, a Chinese friend of ours, she's your friend, who we were talking about China, and China and Korea are not the same. They are really very different, but when you compare Korea and the United States or Korea and a European country, all of a sudden China and Korea become a lot more similar. It was just fascinating talking to her about Asian culture in general and the similarities and differences between China and Korea because they're just so different from our experience in the United States growing up there.
The whole religious background, the whole history is so different, so much richer and so much longer. I think in some ways, like, they still hold on to a lot of the same values and everything and a lot of the traditions that they have been carrying through the centuries. Whereas when we think of a lot of Western countries, they're all very young, new countries. We don't really have long established traditions that go back centuries.
Yeah, and just looking at the whole span of time, all of human existence is very young, really.
Yeah.
20,000 years. Before that, we were living in the woods. Don't want to get into that right now.
I don't want to get into that controversy.
Adding on to the Asian theme, a big pro to me is if you come to Korea and you learn Korean language and you speak to Koreans in their language fluently, that's going to be a very special experience. Another big pro with Korea is that the economy is very strong here. You can find lots of employment very easily, and some jobs do pay well, comparable to any other Western country in the world. And that is what people are looking for. They're looking to make a good salary so they can provide for their family. You can find that in Korea.
You definitely can. Going along with that is a con that I have. No matter how much Korean you speak, no matter if you marry a Korean or whatever you do, you will always be a foreigner in Korea.
Even other Asians that come to work, whatever sorts of industry that they're in, are considered outsiders.
And 외국인, foreigners.
Right, they have one word for all people who are non-Korean. It's called 외국인 or 외국s, 외국 사람. And this is a thing here.
But even if legally you are a legal resident of Korea,
which we are.
Well, we are legal residents, but we're not. We're actually aliens.
Legal alien.
I'm a legal alien.
I don't ever even think of it that way. My visa status is so unimportant to me. The fact that I live here and we get to do this, like, I don't think about what my status is. But our status is legal alien.
Yes.
Right. I have an alien registration card, an ARC card. So do you. Weirdos.
We have friends who have married Koreans, have kids, have been here for like 10 years or more. Maybe they haven't even been home to their home country in 10 years, and they are still considered foreigners or outsiders. You will never be a Korean.
You will never be a Korean. I will never be a Korean. Another big pro to this place is when you talk to Korean people more and more as you live here, you're gonna find out that just about every place is a famous place. I get a kick out of this. This actually doesn't bother me. I love hearing about the famous place in Gyeongju, the famous place in Jeju-do, or wherever, Seoraksan, or wherever they got up near North Korea. Yeah, I don't know, who knows? It could be any of the famous island Anmyeon-do.
Sweetie, I used to teach tourism. I've heard it all. I've seen it all in their homework. There are like hundreds, thousands of famous places.
I like hearing about the famous places though, because everything can't be famous. But that's why it's so funny to me.
But they're national treasures.
I have a couple of cons I want to mention. One is this place is a bit on the crowded side. This is something you notice right away when you come here. Even if you're visiting, there are always people around. You can go to the countryside and find a place that has a lot of space and there aren't a lot of people. But for the most part, there are people everywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of people and they're all on top of each other, but you get used to it.
Adding on to that, now this could be a pro or a con depending how you look at it, but you are going to experience cultural misunderstandings here without fail. That happens.
Totally.
I'm engaged in a lot of communication and interaction with people where I work. In order to make everything go smoothly, you have to really swallow what you want to say sometimes in order to just get through whatever issue it is, because I have standards in my classroom, for example, that kids in this country are not used to. This sort of stuff happens all the time.
Yeah.
A big pro Stephanie has written here, amazing technology in this country, freaking second to none.
If you're a gamer, this is like the best country that you could possibly be in, because the internet speed's so fast and there's so much like internet gaming culture.
You don't even have to be a gamer. You can just enjoy surfing the internet and you're going to be really happy here. You can do anything. They walk around with their cell phones and they get TV reception on the cell phone. They don't even need to stream it on the internet. It's just coming on their phone. They watch TV on the subway. Even when you're like 4 levels down, this service works perfectly.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you never get a drop call. You can get any cell phone you want. You can get any gadget you want. They got markets for digital stuff in many places. Everything's available. Cameras, video cameras, computers. Apple products now, finally, they have Mac. You can get that and it works. You can bank online with your Mac. You never used to be able to do that even a few years back. They are trying to fix all of these problems and make technology as good as anywhere in the world here. Which you already know if you're watching this, because that's what one of the things Korea really has going for it.
It still just like blows my mind just how technologically advanced this place is.
Yeah.
And all I can think about is the electronics market in Yongsan, where you got like 5 floors of just...
It's a smorgasbord of anything you want. A minor con, which I don't think is that big big a deal, but some people might, are Korean public bathrooms.
Korean public bathrooms aren't even the problem. The con is Korean bathrooms in general. At least I think it's Korean bathrooms in general. A lot of Korean bathrooms, public bathrooms that is, you have to go outside a restaurant or outside wherever you are. There's one bathroom for an entire floor in a building, and you gotta go outside the stall, get your paper before, and then go inside the stall. Sometimes there may be a co-ed bathroom and more people than one. I have walked out and seen men at a urinal. It's very uncomfortable, but even in households, like a lot of your Korean bathrooms are very tiny, like tiny. And you gotta practically stand on top and straddle the toilet in order to get a shower. And you don't have a regular shower, you gotta like hand hold your shower head. And to me, it's a huge con.
This is obviously a big issue for her. I'm sure she's not the only one. Public bathrooms and bathrooms that when you're out in public, when you have to go outside of a restaurant or a place of business that you're in during the wintertime are very cold. They also stink a lot.
Oh, and another thing about public bathrooms, ladies' public bathrooms are especially disgusting because a lot of society has recently changed this whole thing where women smoking is okay, but a lot of women are still like, oh, I can't smoke out in public, so they smoke it up in the bathrooms, and it's like the cigarette butts, and it's disgusting. It smells bad. There's cigarette butts all over the toilets.
This place has got a lot going for it. It certainly does. We love living here. Bathrooms, though, especially for the ladies, could be a problem depending on your standards.
So that's it for today's Life in Korea.
If anyone has a question that they'd like us to answer, or at least try to answer, go ahead and write your question in the comments, or head to the blog. You can write it in the comments section there, or head to facebook.com/hallyyouback and write it on our wall.
And like this video, add it to your favorites, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more drama,
K-pop, and Life in Korea videos. That's it for today's Life in Korea. Experience it!